If you're over 60, I want to tell you something that most people never hear from their doctors. Nearly 80% of strokes happen quietly during sleep when you cannot feel them, see them, or stop them. That means the most dangerous stroke is not the one that explodes suddenly. It's the one that builds silently, hour by hour, week by week, until one night your brain reaches a breaking point. And the truth is, your body always tries to warn you. It whispers before it screams. Every senior who has ever survived a nighttime stroke later said the same thing. I wish I had paid attention to the small signs, because the signs were there. You deserve to know those signs. You deserve to understand what your body is trying to tell you. And you deserve the chance to protect your brain long before a stroke ever arrives. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 silent warning signs that often show up days or even weeks before a nighttime stroke. Let's begin with one of the sneakiest signals, one that most seniors mistake for just getting tired. Before we continue, let me ask you, where are you watching from? I'd love to know which part of the world you're tuning in from, and also, what's one healthy habit you never skip in your daily routine? Share it with us in the comments below. Number 7. Subtle vision disturbances, blurry, double, or dim vision that comes and goes. One of the earliest and most commonly ignored signs of a developing stroke is sudden changes in vision, especially when it happens briefly, then disappears. Seniors often brush this off as fatigue, old age, dry eyes, or needing new glasses. But stroke-related vision changes are different, and your brain is the one asking for help. When a stroke begins forming, one of the first areas affected is the part of your brain that processes vision. Even a tiny reduction in blood flow can interrupt how the brain interprets images. This doesn't always cause full blindness. Sometimes it's as small as a moment of blurred text, a sudden dimming of one eye, or a feeling that part of your visual field is missing for a few seconds. Many seniors describe it as, "My vision flickered for a moment. One side looked darker. I saw double and then it went away. My eyes felt out of sync." These episodes often last less than a minute, and that's exactly what makes them dangerous. They don't stay long enough to scare you, but long enough to warn you. The underlying cause is usually a temporary drop in blood flow to the visual centers of the brain. Think of it like a brief blackout in your brain's electrical system. When oxygen decreases, your brain cannot fully process visual signals, and the picture becomes distorted. If this happens at night, when blood pressure naturally drops, the risk becomes even higher. Vision disturbances from a silent stroke warning often come with specific patterns. They happen suddenly, not gradually. They affect one eye or one side more than the other. They improve quickly, but leave you feeling uneasy. They appear during stress, fatigue, or right before bed. Some seniors even notice brief flashes, shadows, or a sensation of fog that clears up after blinking. These are not eye problems. They're neurological. Another reason vision problems should never be ignored is because they can signal a TIA, also known as a mini-stroke. A TIA is the brain's final warning shot before a full stroke occurs. Up to 40% of seniors who ignore TIAs experience a major stroke within days or weeks. If your vision ever suddenly changes, even for 10 seconds, your brain is telling you something is wrong with blood flow. It is not age. It is not dryness. It is not normal. It is a warning. Vision is the window through which your brain communicates distress, and these subtle changes often appear long before more severe symptoms like weakness or speech problems develop. Number 6. Sudden balance problems or feeling unsteady, even when you haven't done anything wrong. The next warning sign is one that almost every senior has felt at least once, but very few recognize it for what it truly can be. A sudden loss of balance, a brief feeling of being pulled to one side, or an unexpected moment of unsteadiness when you stand, walk, or turn your head. Most seniors blame this on age, weak legs, dehydration, or getting up too quickly. And yes, sometimes those things play a role. But when this sense of imbalance comes out of nowhere, or when it feels different than your usual dizziness, it may be one of the brain's earliest silent warnings that blood flow is being disrupted. Balance is controlled by multiple areas in your brain: the cerebellum, brainstem, and inner ear pathways. These regions require a constant, steady stream of oxygen-rich blood. Even a tiny blockage, a brief interruption, or a narrowing of the arteries supplying these areas can instantly affect your ability to stay steady. Many seniors describe this feeling in ways that often get dismissed. I felt like the room tilted for a moment. My feet were moving, but my body didn't follow. I suddenly needed to hold on to something. I felt wobbly for just a few seconds. These episodes are often short, lasting only moments. And that's exactly why they're dangerous. A small drop in blood flow today can become a major stroke tonight, especially during sleep when blood pressure naturally dips and circulation slows. What makes this warning sign so important is that it isn't just dizziness. Stroke-related imbalance has a certain unmistakable character. It happens suddenly, without warning. It occurs even when you aren't dehydrated or standing too quickly. It may feel like you're being pulled to one side. It may make your legs feel disconnected from your body. It disappears quickly, but leaves you feeling shaken or confused. These moments happen because the brain's balance centers are extremely sensitive to reduced blood flow. When oxygen drops, even briefly, your brain can't properly coordinate movement, muscle response, or spatial awareness. It's like your internal compass flickers for a moment. Another subtle sign linked to stroke-related balance changes is when seniors begin bumping into furniture, misjudging steps, or needing to grab a wall or chair even though they've walked that same path safely for years. The brain starts miscalculating distances when those areas are under stress. You may also feel heaviness in one leg, dragging of one foot, a slight lean while walking, or a moment where your body feels off-center. Many seniors ignore these changes until something more severe happens. But the brain rarely gives only one warning. These small signals are its way of saying, "I'm not getting the blood flow I need. Pay attention." The nighttime danger becomes even higher because balance centers are sensitive to low oxygen blood pressure drops, while sleeping strokes often worsen when the brain is already in a low circulation state. If you have episodes of sudden imbalance, even brief ones, treat them as serious neurological warnings, not normal aging. They may be telling you that blood flow to the brainstem or cerebellum is being compromised. Number 5. Sudden, unexplained fatigue or brain exhaustion that feels different from normal tiredness. This next warning sign is one that countless seniors dismiss because it feels harmless at first, but it's actually one of the most commonly missed signs that the brain is struggling. A sudden wave of fatigue that feels unusually heavy, mental exhaustion that appears out of nowhere, or a sense that your brain is slowing down for no clear reason. Stroke-related fatigue is not the kind you feel after a long day or a poor night's sleep. It has a different quality, deeper, heavier, and often disproportionate to your activity. Seniors describe it as, "My body felt fine, but my brain felt drained. I couldn't think clearly. It felt like my mind shut down. My energy disappeared all at once. I felt like I needed to lie down immediately." This type of fatigue happens because the brain is an incredibly energy-dependent organ. When even a small artery begins to narrow or blood flow gets interrupted, the brain immediately responds by slowing itself down to preserve energy. It's a protective mechanism, but it's also a warning. You might notice difficulty focusing, trouble following conversations, slower thinking, unusual forgetfulness, or feeling overwhelmed by simple tasks. Some seniors describe it as a fog that passes after a few minutes. But even if it clears, you should never ignore it, because it often signals that a region of the brain is being undersupplied. Nighttime makes this fatigue even more dangerous. Blood pressure naturally lowers during sleep, and if your brain is already struggling during the day, the reduced nighttime circulation can tip the scales toward a silent stroke. What makes this warning sign so important is that it masquerades as normal aging. But real aging does not suddenly rob you of clarity. Real aging does not cause abrupt drops in brain energy. Only blood flow problems do that. Number 4. Sudden numbness or tingling on one side of the face, hand, or leg. even if it lasts only seconds. Now we move into an unmistakably neurological warning sign, yet one that many seniors ignore because it doesn't last long. Brief numbness, tingling, or a strange sensation on one side of the body. Stroke-related numbness is not like the numbness you feel when you sleep on your arm or sit too long. It has certain qualities that make it unique. It appears suddenly, without a physical cause. It affects one side of the body more than the other. It often occurs in the face, hand, or leg. It may feel like pins and needles, buzzing, or partial loss of sensation. It fades quickly, sometimes within seconds or minutes. This is one of the clearest signs that blood flow to a specific part of the brain has been disrupted. Even a brief reduction of oxygen to these regions can cause the nerve's controlling sensation to misfire. Seniors describe it as, "My cheek felt numb for a moment. My hand tingled for no reason. My leg felt like it didn't belong to me. Half my lips suddenly felt strange." These episodes are often tiny strokes in progress, or TIAs, mini-strokes, temporary blockages that the brain manages to reopen. But TIAs are not harmless. They are the strongest predictor of a major stroke within days or weeks. What makes this sign especially dangerous at night is that numbness and tingling are easy to ignore when you are drifting to sleep. Many seniors notice these sensations when lying on their pillow, turning in bed, or stretching out their legs, and assume it's just a sleep position issue. But when it affects only one side and appears suddenly, it is almost always neurological. Another pattern seniors miss is when the numbness switches off like a light. Here one moment, gone the next. That sudden improvement does not mean everything is fine. It means the blockage temporarily resolved itself, but the underlying vascular instability is still present. Stroke-related numbness can also feel like your leg briefly weakens, your face feels strange or heavy. Your hand loses sensation for a moment. Your grip feels weaker out of nowhere. These episodes are your brain saying, "I am not receiving the blood I need. Pay attention." Number 3, sudden trouble speaking, slurred words, or losing words mid-sentence, even briefly. Now we move into one of the most alarming, yet commonly ignored, silent warning signs. A sudden change in your ability to speak clearly, even if it lasts only a few seconds. Most seniors underestimate this symptom because it can be very subtle. You may not fully lose your speech. You may not slur dramatically. Instead, you may notice something much quieter, but equally dangerous. Words come out slightly distorted. Your tongue feels heavy. You can think of the word but cannot say it. Your speech feels slow or sticky. Or someone asks, "Are you okay? You sound different." These are not signs of aging. These are not signs of being tired. These are neurological red flags, the brain struggling to coordinate language. Speech is controlled by several highly sensitive regions of the brain. When blood flow drops, even for seconds, those areas cannot translate thoughts into words. Seniors often describe this as a glitch in their speech, something that feels out of character but resolves on its own. That rapid recovery is the trickiest part. It makes people ignore the warning. A senior may say, "Oh, that was strange, but I'm okay now." But your brain is not okay. It is sending one of the clearest pre-stroke messages it can possibly send. What makes stroke-related speech changes different is the suddenness. You are talking normally one moment, and the next, something feels off. You may sound breathy, unclear, or sluggish. You may fumble a word you've spoken perfectly for years. Some seniors experience a feeling of losing the connection between the brain and the mouth. They know what they want to say. They just cannot make the words cooperate. This is a classic sign of a TIA, mini-stroke, or a developing blockage in the brain's language pathways. And since these pathways are extremely vulnerable to nighttime drops in blood pressure, speech disturbances during the evening or before bed are especially concerning. Never ignore sudden changes in your speech. They are not random. They are not harmless. They are your brain's emergency alarm. Number 2, a sudden, severe headache or a new type of head pain. especially if it comes on fast. This warning sign is one that seniors often overlook because headaches are common. But stroke-related headaches are not normal headaches. They come with a very distinctive set of qualities. They appear suddenly, often within seconds. They feel sharp, intense, or pressure-filled. They are unlike any headache you've had before. They may be concentrated behind the eye, in the forehead, or at the back of the head. They may be accompanied by nausea, dizziness, or a sense of unease. Many seniors describe it as a bolt of pain that came out of nowhere, a pressure inside my skull, a feeling that something was wrong deep inside my head, a headache that felt different from all the others. These sudden headaches occur when a blood vessel in the brain becomes irritated, partially blocked, or extremely strained. They are often precursors to both ischemic and hemorrhagic strokes. What makes this sign extremely dangerous is that it often appears hours before a nighttime stroke, especially during times when the brain is preparing to rest. As blood flow changes in preparation for sleep, fragile or narrowed vessels can become unstable. Another important clue: pain that worsens when lying down. If a headache intensifies when you recline or when you wake during the night with sharp head pressure, this may indicate rising intracranial pressure, one of the most overlooked stroke predictors. Some seniors notice brief stabbing pains behind the eye or in one temple. Others notice a pulsing sensation at the back of the head. Even if the pain fades quickly, this is a textbook sign that you should not ignore. Stroke-related headaches can also create sensitivity to light, blurred vision, difficulty concentrating, or a sudden need to sit or lie still. Remember, a stroke doesn't always begin with paralysis or speech loss. It often begins with vascular pain, the brain telling you that pressure, inflammation, or a developing blockage is building inside your skull. Number 1. Sudden weakness on one side of the body, even mild weakness that disappears quickly. We've reached the most dangerous and most urgent warning sign, the one that almost always appears before a significant nighttime stroke, yet is tragically ignored because it can be brief, mild, or confusing. Sudden weakness in the arm, leg, or face on one side of the body. This does not always look like dramatic paralysis. In fact, most seniors who experience this early warning have much more subtle symptoms, such as your hand briefly losing strength, your grip feeling soft or unreliable, your leg dragging or feeling heavier on one side, your foot not lifting properly, your face feeling droopy or different on one side, or your body leaning toward one side while walking. These sensations can last minutes, seconds, or even just long enough for you to question yourself. And that is the danger. Because the weakness disappears, seniors convince themselves nothing serious happened. But stroke-related weakness has a distinct fingerprint. It happens instantly, without clear cause. It affects one side only, right arm and leg or left arm and leg. It feels like the brain isn't sending a full signal to your muscles. It may make you drop something unexpectedly. It may cause your knee to buckle or your foot to slip. This moment of weakness occurs when a blood vessel feeding the motor control areas of your brain becomes temporarily blocked, a classic TIA, mini-stroke. Even if the vessel reopens and strength returns, the brain has already sent its final warning. Up to 1 in 3 seniors who ignore this warning will have a major stroke within days. And nighttime is the riskiest moment because blood pressure naturally dips, reducing blood flow to already vulnerable brain tissue. Some seniors describe this warning sign as, "My leg didn't respond for a moment. My arm felt disconnected from my brain. I tried to lift something and suddenly couldn't. I felt lopsided when I stood up." Others notice weakness when turning in bed, getting up during the night, or simply shifting their weight from one leg to the other. These are not random events. They are the brain losing control, even briefly, over one side of the body. What makes sign number 1 so important is that it reflects direct blood flow loss to the brain's movement centers, which is the clearest predictor of an imminent stroke. When your muscles don't respond on one side, it is not your age. It is not fatigue. It is the brain calling for help. This is the sign you must never, ever ignore. Before we end, I want to speak to you directly. not as a doctor, but as someone who has seen far too many seniors lose their independence simply because they didn't recognize the warnings. A nighttime stroke does not arrive without signs. Your brain tries to protect you. It tries to communicate. It sends vision changes, imbalance, numbness, headaches, speech glitches, weakness. These are not random moments. These are not just aging. These are your brain pleading with you to act before it is too late. I have watched seniors avoid devastating strokes simply because they listened to these warnings early, and I have seen others wait too long, believing the symptoms were small or temporary, and their lives changed forever. But your story does not have to go that way. You now know the 7 silent stroke warning signs, especially the ones that strike before bed or during sleep. You now understand what your brain feels like when it is losing blood flow. You now have the clarity to protect yourself or someone you love. And I want you to remember this. You are not too old to prevent a stroke. You are not too late to change your outcome. You are not powerless. You are informed.